Welcome to Regional Stories. There are 117 congregations that claim the covenant we call the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in Oklahoma. To learn more about the disciples, visit our website at okdisciples.org. This month on Regional Stories, we're stopping by First Christian Church in Perry. The congregation has served their town and surrounding county since 1894. On this episode, we visit with Reverend Dr. Joshua Bell and some church leaders about the variety of faithful ministries the congregation offers all these years later. The church describes itself with these words: "You don't have to be a Christian to check us out. We welcome folks who are searching spiritually and those who are simply curious about Christianity. We won't hammer you with doctrine or force you to fit our mold. We revel in a God who invites and does not coerce. Our congregation is an open and accepting family of faith. You won't find us to be a perfect church. Nonetheless, you will discover we try to live and share the love we have come to know in Christ Jesus. You will find people who accept you as you are and dare you to be all you can be. A simple faith that informs hard choices and a place where worship attempts to be relevant and reverent." Visit their website, fccperryok.com, to learn more. So let's get into the conversation. Thank you for listening. As I am joined by Reverend Dr. Joshua Bell with some members of his congregation as we learn about some of the exciting things that are happening here. Joshua is just back from being in Christmount. That's in North Carolina for all of you people in Oklahoma who don't know the National Disciples Campground. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, Joshua, good afternoon.
Hello.
Joshua, it's great to be here with you. Thanks for taking the time and with your leaders here to help the region know about the great things that are happening here at First Christian in Perry. Tell us who we are, who's with you this afternoon, and I know we're going to kind of begin with worship.
Yeah, so this afternoon we have our worship committee chair and our committee, our contemporary worship coordinator, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that we've got going on for worship. As you know, Michael, that's an extreme passion of mine, that we talk about and plan multiple aspects of worship. And it has to be lay-led. Like, I can make suggestions, but a lot of the things that we do, the laity help me plan and implement. So I'm really excited about a lot of the things that we've got going on.
But one of the things I've really enjoyed the times that I've been gifted the trust of the pulpit here is just how much your lay leaders serve on Sunday morning in worship and around the building. And so it is, there are not a lot of congregations, as you know, anymore that have quite the number of lay leaders in the lectern as the worship leader as things have changed in congregational life. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's always great to see.
It's pretty it's unique. It's unique, especially around Oklahoma. How many of the First Christian Church Perry deacons and elders really step up to do those types of leadership things in our congregation.
All right, so tell us who's here to talk about worship.
So I'm going to introduce Kim Sheets. She's the chair of our worship committee, and let her tell you a little bit about what she does. And then Ted Loring, who is, I'm calling him our contemporary worship coordinator, but he does so much more than that in our church. So Kim, if you just kind of tell a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, Kim.
Hello. How are you, Reverend Davidson?
Michael, please. It's great to see you.
Good to see you again, too, also. And I'm the worship chair. I'm the immediate past chairman of the board for the church here. I've been worship chair for probably, 20 years, and I always try to keep it fresh in different things that we're doing in the worship itself. And it usually is because Josh always has something new to work around. So it's always an interesting Sunday. But things that we have coming up here with Eastertide coming in real quick, we've got our Palm Sunday services that we'll be having at 8:15 and 10:30, which are our normal service times. And then at 5 o'clock, our Caraway Street is going to be doing a special production for Easter on Palm Sunday.
Tell us a little bit about that, because Caraway is really unique for your congregation. There's not another congregation in our region that does anything like it.
And while we're doing that, I definitely want to introduce Jonice LaValle, who is our Christian education chair, and she's in Caraway and is really a huge part of that. So I want to make sure that they both have the opportunity to talk about that. So from the worship perspective and then from the Caraway perspective
Sure.
for that.
Sure.
Caraway Street was started in 1980 at this church. We had 2 full casts that ran every other Sunday. Each cast was every other Sunday. We have our little people that each cast member was in charge of doing the production of that little person. They have scripts that they follow. We have backstage people. We have so many ways to reach out to the kids. They learn ABCs of the Bible. They learn Bible verses every week on a different, because of a different character coming in. They're always different scriptures and stuff. And it's amazing, the books of the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, they learn those, and it's amazing how even as a cast member, you learn those different things. Sometimes you don't really take the time, or you don't sit down and do a memory verse, but you do in Caraway Street.
So for folks who've not been here, I've never seen the production, but for folks who are listening, when they say cast, there's an entire room here in the congregation, in the building, that I think when I first walked in and saw it, I thought, oh, this is a different kind of Mr. Rogers, fairyland kind of thing, where you get and you bing, and it opens up, and here are all these different scenes that are all set together that the kids sit and people move in and out of, so that it's not just a blank stage, it's an actual different scenes of a set.
Yeah.
We have some of our little people pop up out of boxes. We have one that comes out of a mailbox. We have some of our cast that is has to change into clothes in a phone booth.
Okay.
Which can be challenging.
No doubt.
We have a taxi cab. What else do we have in there?
A church. There's a church. There's a schoolroom. There's Mr. and Mrs. Garcia's shop. So it's like their store.
It's quite a production. We have a magic show that can go on in the middle of a script, or whatever the script
Is this 30 minutes, 40 minutes for the kids? Is it an hour?
It's about 45 minutes.
Okay. All right. So it's for all of you who have worship and wonder in your congregations that may be listening, imagine live action worship and wonder.
Yeah.
Might be the best way I can think of describing it.
Mm-hmm.
Live action Worship and Wonder meets Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, without saying Sesame Street.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch and to listen to the reaction of those that are participating in it. So.
And has everybody here in the room been a character?
I've been a cast member.
Cast member.
I was a stage manager.
Okay.
So I was behind the scenes.
I've been Mrs. Garcia and Dear Blabby, and my little people are Trunella, Gertrude, Irma. So
That's
still
great.
working on it.
That's great.
Not me. No.
Yep, me either. My son does. Quentin loves participating in it. Thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread because he's a natural ham. He gets it from someplace.
No.
It's not me. No.
And he's the one that's going in the phone booth and changing and come out.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. What else is happening worship here?
Well, we've got a prayer labyrinth that we set up every Easter for those that would like to come and do meditation type thing. And that is usually set up by our youth kids. And it gives them an opportunity to learn what a labyrinth is and what a labyrinth could do for you. And so it's a good thing for them. Our Monday, Thursday services this year are going to be a little bit different than we've had the last 4 years or so. We're going to kind of look at the Stations of the Cross, with Josh leading that for us, and then we'll have a 24-hour prayer vigil that starts when you finish your Stations of the Cross. So, and that's always a very meaningful and wonderful time for me, that I can come into the church and sit in the quiet and the solitude, except when the trains go through, but in the quiet and the solitude of just communing with God, just being with Him in His presence.
Is there any kind of prayer prompt or literature that's a part of that, or people just come in with what they bring in?
With the prayer labyrinth, we kind of have a prayer prompt for them. We have a piece of paper, kind of how to walk in, how you walk into yourself and you think of yourself. And as you're walking out, you're taking God with you and taking it out into the community. So there is a pamphlet that they can pick up and read and how to do that. As far as the prayer vigil, I think that we've had some ideas on a piece of paper that you could pick up as to what you'd like to pray for, or what needs to be prayed for, or, just sitting in silence and not praying, just thinking, meditating. Mm-hmm. So it's, we have a few. So, then we have our Good Friday service, which has always been another meaningful service that Josh does, and this year we're doing it a little bit different. But we have singing, scripture reading, darkness, which is what it is. Mm-hmm. So, but we celebrate Good Friday, and then Then we have Easter Sunday. We are going to have 2 services at 8:15 and 10, and then the contemporary service is going to be at 6:00 that evening, and they've been doing wonderful. My daughter says that it's her own personal little church service, so she loves coming to the 6:00 service.
I'm a visitor and walk in on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What is it you're hoping that I experience as a part of worship, whichever service I come to? And this for the whole table, I'm just curious, the second service, but really, what are you hoping folks walk out of once they've been here for worship?
Me personally, I hope that you would want to come back. We always talk about the songs that we sing are, some of the good old favorite songs, and then Josh reminds us they're not that old. And so, but yet those are the songs that either the kids remember or we as adults loved as children. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a very caring church community that wants to get to know you and would like to see you come back. So it's not just up to me as the worship chair, it's up to the congregation. And without them, the worship committee would not be what we do, couldn't do what we do. Mm-hmm. So, but I would hope that you'd feel that draw to come back to our church to visit again, or eventually maybe joining our church.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll just throw in for the contemporary service part. I think to lead a worship service, you do have to love worship, music and prayer, and for me, the preparation for the service is truly worship all week for me. Really, my goal is by the time I'm leading a wonderful song that I've learned and want to pass on to the people, is to not cry during it. And I know if I can make it through the song on Sunday night without crying, it means I practiced it enough.
Okay.
But, I think a love of worship is, and to feel God's presence and know He's there. If someone walks out with that after a worship service, then it's a win, I think, in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Well, and for me, it's taking the message that Pastor Josh has. He has preached a good sermon. He has given us lots of ideas, lots of suggestions, and for me to live, to do, to obey what God has commanded us in the Scriptures, and to do that in our community, in our daily lives.
Thanks. Anyone else? There's only one other person at the table.
Well, I think that it's for me. I want to be able to equip congregants to deal with tough scripture and to live that out outside that worship space. So when we read it, we can sing about it, we can talk about it, we can pray about it, but it's harder to live it when we walk out the doors. You know, Dr. Ward used to say all the time, and he'll tell you that he didn't come up with the phrase, but the idea is that worship begins. The worship may be ending, but the service really begins when you walk out the doors. You know, that has stuck with me ever since I was.
He says it all the
I
time.
do. Yeah, but it's how I live my life. So for the congregation, I think that's kind of really embedded in the way that we look at worship for us. So having multiple opportunities for worship on Sunday was important because we recognized that not everybody could be there at 8:15 or 10:30, and the 6 o'clock for us was just, this sounds fun. Let's do something different with music, and there's lots of music for worship. So let's go this route. And Ted is a phenomenal musician that can play just about anything, and so he coordinates that, and it ties in with what we did in the morning, and it's just a real, everything we do has to complement each other. So the 8:15 and the 10:30, they're not two separate churches. They're just two opportunities for worship. The 6 o'clock is the same way. They're not three separate churches. It's one church having three opportunities to worship, including our streaming crowd, which also blows me away. It's just, it's hard to quantify that, but there are, I know, while we're in worship, sometimes 10, sometimes 50 people that are watching while we're in physical worship. So anyway, that's all I gotta say about that.
Do you have someone who's interacting with those folk?
Most of the time it's Ted. We have an app. We have an app for the church that allows us to kind of monitor what's going on, and then on Facebook we try to keep track of that. But really, we do that with our app.
All right, well, great. Well, thanks for sharing about worship. Joshua, you have a really active Christian education program here at the church for all ages, and so tell us a little bit about that with Jonice. Did I say that right?
You did.
Yes.
Okay, I wrote it phonetically.
Just like niece and nephew.
Right.
So education, historically with the Christian church is extremely important to us, and so we kind of look at different ways of education. The hardest part, and I think most congregations that are going to be listening to this can relate to, is just that Sunday school programs for children are extremely hard to maintain.
Right.
It's really hard to find volunteers. It's really hard to find young families with children to bring their kids to Sunday school, and so we've struggled just like everyone else. And for us, Caraway is definitely an alternative way of doing that. Caraway was always designed as a kind of a children's worship experience, and it happened during church, but when I came, we decided to do it as a Sunday school program, but we did it once a month, and then we had volunteers so that we could rotate the volunteers, and then all the volunteers got tired and burnt out, because you know how it is. You volunteer for a Sunday school class, you do it for the next 30 years, and then when your grandkids are coming in, you're just like, yeah, I'm kind of done, But we have a phenomenal education committee, and I just feel like I want Jonice to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that they do.
Well, right now we have 2 adult Sunday school classes and 2 children's, more or less an elementary and a high school class. And we have 68 children in our congregation. So they kind of come at different times and that sort of thing. But our Caraway Street does meet the 3rd Sunday of the month. It's at 9:30 in the morning. And that's usually when we have the most children, because some of the high school Sunday schoolers, they are cast members. And so we also have tried to do that twice a month, and it's been a little bit more difficult with we compete with sports, we compete with all kinds of tournaments going on weekends and that sort of thing, so it's kind of difficult to get the kids here. And we also have Disciples Kids. It's on Wednesdays. It's right after school until 5 o'clock. And we serve about 60 children every Wednesday after school. And Emily Andros is kind of in charge of that. And Pam's our storyteller, Pam Cunningham. She tells a story, and when she can't, Josh is in there again helping out. We have several volunteers, and the kids get snacks. They get a story time. They get games with Bobby Cunningham, and it's crafts with Emily Andros. So it's kind of like Vacation Bible School every Wednesday.
Right.
But then I also want to mention Vacation Bible School. Several of the churches in town just no longer do that because the kids are so busy and they're going to different places. We still do that, and I think it gives children a break away from all the tournaments and all the sports events and that sort of thing, and kind of reminds them of, brings them back to the Bible, brings them back to the story times, brings them back to our Hall of Faith and our heroes, and kind of grounds them for at least a week out of the summer. We also have, like she talked about, the Caraway Street, and sometimes we do special performances. We've done a Christmas, what was that? The Rhapsody. It was like the Bohemian Rhapsody, but with the puppets and telling the Christmas story. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. Then also our church camp. Oh my goodness, our church campers. We have about 17, I think, going this summer. We are one of the highest attendees.
You are.
Perry First Christian Churches, and we compete with El Reno, so we're pretty close. But we have a lot of kids that don't necessarily go to our church, but they do go to church camp, and they come back with a new love of Jesus, and we know that they learn a lot of life stories that they don't get. They may be going to other churches or something in town, but we appreciate having the opportunity to send them. And our church is wonderful about sending packages to go with them, and they have a care package, and we have excellent sponsors that will financially support them when they can't afford it.
So would you say that the kids that participate here, families are participating too, or is this a missional ministry of outreach to kids in your community?
I think it's more a mission outreach. I don't think a whole lot of parents that are going to church camp are kids that are going to church camp. Their parents aren't necessarily involved. There are some, but I think it's more of a mission and an outreach.
So that's what you're saying, is that would account for the Wednesday program.
Yeah. A lot of our Wednesday afternoon kids go to camp, and I mean I always had a little bit of a problem with this in the past, mainly because I want a relationship with these kids. Like I want to know that we're investing in these kids, and so that the congregation has a connection to them, and the congregation feels connected to them, and they have a relationship with them. And with Disciples Kids, we do get to build relationships with them, and it's not your typical Sunday morning Sunday school relation, whatever that means anymore,
Right.
But our Wednesday afternoon program, those people say, this is our church. We might not see them on Sunday. They might watch us online, but to them, we're their church. So, I stopped arguing and complaining about it, and it didn't last very long. it was like 1 year, but they really feel called to send these kids to camp. So, I also want to mention that Ted and his wife Sheila teach the high school class, and I wanted you
She
to
teaches, I just sit there.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
the fact checker.
He is the fact checker.
She asked who's the oldest person in the Bible this past Sunday morning, and who is it?
Methuselah.
Methuselah.
Yeah.
And how long did he live?
900 some odd years.
960.
Allegedly.
I know.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
The Bible says.
Right.
The Bible says that's right.
So I guess I was paying attention during Sunday school.
I'm proud of you.
But she is great. She is focused on relationship with these kids. If she can get them talking, that's the victory for her. She comes out very pumped up when kids have opened up a little bit about talking about what they do. She also keeps a prayer journal that they don't share it, but they can take it and they can write a prayer request in it. And at our house, we have it on a little ledge in the kitchen. And when we walk past it, we always touch the prayer journal to remember to pray for the youth.
Well, this congregation, Joshua, we talked about this at the Northwest Area Clergy Gathering a couple of weeks ago. You're part of you're setting an example for a growing trend of congregations who are doing missional outreach ministry to kids whose families don't attend church. You all, the church in Cherokee, we heard, El Reno and Sulphur are the ones that I can think of that are really, you're the youth group for the community for kids who may not have anywhere else to be or may not be welcomed anywhere else.
Right.
And I can't think of a more Jesus-like thing to do than that. So it's great to hear that you continue to do it and invest in it, and everybody understands that this isn't an evangelism tool to bring people into the building, like so many of us sometimes, like we used to think about it that way.
Yeah, that's where I struggled. I was like, well, if we're going to send them, I want to see them on Sunday morning, and they're like, no, that's not how this works. So I had to learn from our congregation. They're like, no, we're good with this. I was like, wait, what? I was expecting to be called to the mat that we weren't getting all these kids on Sunday morning. They're like, no, we want to do this. We want to send them to camp, and we love our after-school program. So anyway.
The fundraising they do a spaghetti dinner to send the kids to camp, and they're raffling some quilts, beautiful quilts. I bought a bunch of tickets on my way here, so
yep.
My wife wants to win one of those quilts.
And those were made here by church members?
Our quilting club.
Quilting club.
Yeah. Now they specifically, their mission is to the quilts that they make. Their quilts that they make are used to raise money for mission, and so whatever they sell goes to the kids in this particular case. But they'll give money to programs all year round. So,
Janice, how long have you chaired the education committee?
This is just my first year.
Oh, fantastic!
No, I have
Welcome.
done it before.
Okay,
but others have also been chair. So this is just my first year.
And I think we started with this. I don't remember. There's adult Sunday school classes here as well. 2
adult Sunday school classes. Josh is one of the leaders, and then in the other class they take turns leading it. So we have several teachers.
Okay, all right. Do you know any good stories about Josh's class?
Well, there has been a time that no Sunday school students come in my class because it was, a special occasion or something. And I was in Josh's class, and so it is very entertaining, very insightful. And he leaves you thinking, I need to look this up. I need to research. I need to find out more. So he does lead the class in that way, and then he brings it all together in the sermons too. And lots of people give their input, so he brings that to the sermons, and so he has some perspectives of others, not only his.
Do you already know what you're doing for VBS this summer?
We have talked about several different things. So the Hall of Faith is very important to us, and we will probably choose some characters from that.
Okay, great. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the Christian education program here?
I will say that the Nativity was on the education committee before. It no longer is, but at Christmas we do a community outreach, and we do a live nativity for 3 days before Christmas, and it is very powerful. It's very meaningful. Our members dress up as wise men and shepherds and Mary, Joseph, and whoever the newborn baby is in the congregation gets to be baby Jesus for a few days. We have an angel, and so Pam Cunningham is the one that kind of coordinates getting everyone dressed and ready to go out. We go out in shifts. If it's nice and warm, we stay out for 15, 20 minutes. If it's freezing cold, we may stay out for 10. And
Is it drive-by or walk-by?
either way, people can pull in.
And live animals, right?
Ted has a donkey that he brings, and the Karchers bring their sheep sometimes. Ted, talk about your donkey.
Well, I run a satellite for a donkey rescue, so I have a ready supply of donkeys. I try to pick one of my better behaved ones to be a donkey on a particular night. And I like it, especially if you talk about people walking by or people that get out of their cars. I do not mind if they come and say, can I touch the donkey? Can I pet the donkey? Because, again, it's all about relationship and talking with people. So that's what we do. And the time goes by pretty quick. Although from where I'm positioned, I can see the clock on the church sign come up every once in a while. So I know that it shows the time every 2 minutes, I think, is what I figured out. Not because I was bored and waiting for it.
Not at all.
No.
No, not you see it 5 times. It's time to go inside.
Does it happen out here in the parking lot of the church, or?
On the east side of the church.
Okay.
On the busy road on the 7th.
Okay.
And I think, interestingly enough, I haven't been able to prove it yet, but it might be the oldest live nativity in the state of Oklahoma. They've been doing it for over 30 years. I mean, it's gone from everything from building hay bale like barns to an actual structure to. But I'm being sincere when I tell you it might be one of the oldest live nativities in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, and we have to give credit to the men that put it together. They build it each year and take it down, and it's quite a feat, especially when it's 20 degrees or snow on the ground. They still do it.
Yeah.
Who made that metal lit up sign? That
Oh,
says that?
very cooked.
Very cut.
Yeah,
it's
we
beautiful.
now have a metal sign that lights up. It's got fancy LED lights on the inside. So,
It says Live Nativity, I think, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, Oklahoma disciples, come on over to Perry at Christmas and see the live nativity here. And maybe, who knows, the youth group may be selling hot chocolate or giving it away. Who knows what they'll be doing then, but come on out and do that. And thanks for telling us about all the Christian education here that's going on. Appreciate it.
Well, and I also have to give credit to the ladies. They provide chili and soups and nachos and things like that. So we also are cared for after we come in from the freezing cold. Then we can get hot chocolate and a bowl of chili or something like that. So the whole church is involved.
Sounds like it. I served at church where the whole church was involved, and so half of us went out and did the live nativity while the other half walked or drove by.
Nice. Nice.
In the little town of LaBelle, Missouri, and then we swapped places. And so one gentleman farmer took great pleasure in handing the city boy the reins of the cow that I got to stand and hold as a dressed shepherd while half the church filed by. So that wasn't a story you needed to hear. Sorry about that. Thank you very much for telling us about all the Christian education that happens here.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Joshua, you all do a lot of outreach here.
Yes.
And we have Donna here. So tell us a little bit about Donna and about the outreach that goes on from your congregation's corner here in Oklahoma.
So for our church, we really love the idea of serving others and on multiple facets. And so Donna Parrish is our outreach chair. I believe you've been our outreach chair since I came.
Mm-hmm.
But you were before I came.
Right.
How long have you been the outreach chair?
Geez, probably 10, 15. How long have you been here?
I've been here 8 years.
Okay. Probably 10, 15 years.
I was thinking 15.
I was on the committee, and then Sherry DeBoard was chair. And then I think it was when she moved to board chair, maybe, then I took over outreach.
Okay. So that'd be like 10.
Probably.
But you all have some amazing things that we've continuously done. Like over the years, when I first came, you all did this, served Thanksgiving lunches we partnered with Wheat Heart. And
We did the Meals on Wheels.
We did the Meals on Wheels, and we served everybody in the community Meals on Wheels. Now that program has since gone away, but we didn't stop feeding people. So,
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about those.
We do food baskets for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Ask the congregation, we make out a list of items we want to put in the baskets, and then the congregation fills that need. Josh or people call in. Josh sometimes finds the people. People know to call us if they need something. So,
You mean in the community, you're well known, so your outreach ministry is known broadly in the community?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think most people in the community know that if they need food, they call our church. If they need assistance with just completely random things, like, I think a lot of times people call churches needing rent assistance, or gas, or utility assistance, and most people in the community know that we're the church that helps them find maybe community service hours, or we'll help them find the resources to help them get rent. But really, when it comes to food, anyone that needs food, we feed them. That's kind of our reputation, and our reputation in the community is that if they ever need any assistance, they can reach out to us for anything, and there's no judgment at all here. So I know that we do the food baskets, but there's but we don't. We look at our outreach we have a local thing that we do. We know that we do soup kitchen. Tell them a little bit about that.
Soup kitchen we do 4 times a year. Sometimes the outreach committee does it. The women of the church, the CWF, have done it. Campfire leader also goes to our church, and sometimes she has done one. So it's not always the outreach, but outreach is the one that's on the list.
And so, tell me just not the logistics, but you say soup kitchen. Give everybody a little bit more description of what that means.
It is ran by the Methodist Church here, and you pick the menu, you pick what you want to serve. She's real good at giving you a head count of what was served last week. It's once a week.
Okay.
So you kind of know how to judge your purchasing of your items, and sometimes we've done like casseroles, like who would like to make casseroles, and ask the congregation. The outreach committee really believes to get the congregation involved in things, that it's not just the committee or the board, but if you're sitting at home and want to make cookies, then you can make cookies for the soup kitchen or the food baskets, or different ways you can be a part of it.
Okay, great. I see you have a list of things.
I do.
Tell us about them.
I had food baskets, which we're going to do. I haven't visited with Josh about this yet, but we're going to do Easter baskets. So we'll be putting out a list for the congregation to fill those needs. And our congregation is great. I always worry about, are we asking too much of them, especially at Christmas time? We do the food baskets, and we usually adopt a family. One year we adopted 2, a single dad and a single mom. And we put out a list of what their wants are, and they always come through. So
Kind of like your own personal angel tree.
Yeah,
Yes.
true.
And so tell us about the Easter baskets. I mean, we're talking about
It'll
the
be
Easter
the-
baskets I got as a kid?
No,
or okay,
food
all right.
baskets.
Okay,
They're
food
gonna be
baskets of
food
Easter
baskets.
baskets. Okay. So...
We'll do your basic ham, potatoes,
Okay.
vegetable rolls.
Like a Thanksgiving basket.
Yeah.
Okay. What a great thing to do. And you have any idea how many of those you're going to
10.
do? 10? Okay.
10.
Wow. And you already have families picked out, or?
No,
Okay.
but we will have.
Okay.
The minute the word hits the street that we have food baskets, it'll fill up.
Okay. Amazing.
So last year we did camp supplies for our campers, and we took the list of what their needs were to go to camp, and like flashlights and some of those smaller items.
Bug spray.
Yeah, bug spray was a big one. Sunscreen, all those items, and church members signed up with what they could bring. And what we have, 19 that went last year.
I think so.
So it was.
My favorite part that the outreach committee did with our kids is they made them hats, and they got the designs on them.
I remember.
Yeah, that was them. They
that's
came up
great.
with that idea. It was cool.
That was
fun.
unique.
That was fun. And I think the campers liked it.
They did.
So
They did.
I know the people that went to camp also thought it was fun for their kids to have those things. So,
Right, we just give out a shirt. You give out hats.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, one up in you.
That's right. I gotta up the game here.
That's right.
So we did the buckets for the hurricane that Josh mentioned. The Ace Hardware here in town donated the buckets and gave us a really good price on all the items. And so congregation just...
Now, did the congregation, did individuals kind of pay that out of their own pocket, or did you like take up a big collection and then go down and...
They just paid for it out of their own
Okay,
pocket.
here's a bucket, go fill that up.
So we went actually and purchased, they gave us money, and we purchased everything through Ace Hardware.
Okay, how many are on the outreach committee with you?
4.
Oh, wow.
It
Y'all
was
do a
just
lot.
2 of us for quite some time, and then we picked up 2.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're busy.
Does the local food pantry that this congregation and Joshua helped found, did I get that right?
Sure.
Is that's a part of your congregation's outreach as well, or?
Well, we have some board members on our congregation, and we have 2 on our outreach committee deliver faithfully. So I'd say we're a big part of it.
Huge. Kim was a part of the
yeah.
original group when we first started the food pantry. The interesting thing about the food pantry, I want to add to some of the cool things that Donna has mentioned. Our community is very tight-knit in the sense that our ministerial lines really work well together. And a lot of the things that Donna's talking about that we do as a church is because it complements some of the other ministries that are taking place in town. So when I say food is kind of our thing, our church really kind of organized it, coordinated it, put it together. Kim has been on the board since the very inception of it, and that started with 13 original congregations sitting together in a room saying, we want to help with this food desert. It was really hard. We had a lot of folks that are on SNAP benefits that the only places they could go get food were at the gas station in the homeland here in town, because even then the Brahms was being rebuilt, and so they worked really hard to help this. And like I said, our outreach committee always tries to find ways of connecting that. But Kim, tell us a little bit more about the food pantry, if that's okay.
Well, we had our very first meeting in 2018 with the 13 congregations together, and we actually found a building to rent very generously. I think it cost us $1 to rent the building that we've been in for quite a few years now, but we dedicated the building for the food pantry in 2019. When we first started out, people would donate boxes of cereal and bread and cans of vegetables and canned meat. We kind of had a list for them to go by, but we would distribute out of our church. Well, then the next time we were going to distribute out of, let's say, the Baptist church. So we'd box everything up and we'd take it down to the Baptist church, and then we'd, get more cans of food and more boxes of cereal, and then we'd box all of those up. People would come by, we'd hand it out. Well, then it's the Calvary Baptist Church. So we'd box it all up, and we just moved, and we said it was just killing us. We said, we've got to do something different, and that's when we found a pantry, a home for us. So we have done we serve, I can't even tell you, probably about 300 people a month.
Wow.
And we just broke ground a couple of months ago on a new building. We're building a brand new building that we'll be moving into, hopefully by the end of May, 1st of June, something like that. It's just a blessing to the community. It's a blessing to each of us that work down there. The churches come together, different people in different congregations working together. I'm not trying to outdo your church, and you're not trying to outdo my church, and I don't know, we just work very well together. It's just a blessing. So
Fantastic. Donna, is there something else you want to tell us about the outreach here that y'all do?
Couple more things that we do. We do breakfast for the football team every year. And we help with the backpack blessing that
Breakfast for the football team. That's different than dinner for the football team, so you'll have to help me.
If they play away game,
Oh, okay.
we do breakfast. If they play home, then there's a dinner.
Okay. All right.
So we usually do the breakfast for some reason. I'd rather have
Because
the
their
dinner.
casseroles are amazing. And when they ask me what to sign up for, just someone signs them up for their casseroles. I don't know who that is, but I'm telling you, they know how to make casseroles.
This is a food church.
It's
a good disciple.
There's
I
a
mean-
reason I had to lose 120 pounds.
Oh, yeah. You think about, all the things that you've talked about here, it's just good disciple table stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry,
you're
go
fine.
ahead.
So that's basically what we do for the football breakfast. We help the Presbyterians they do a backpack blessing at the beginning of school year and with school supplies. And we usually pick a couple of items off of that and fulfill that need. So I don't think that was last year. I think it was the year before we did the pencils for the teachers.
Yeah.
Pencils with prayer, and it was a little thing that we gave the teachers that I know that they really appreciated. So, and the outreach committee also has a scholarship that the school counselors know about. So if there's a student that wants to sign up for a class but can't meet the supplies needed or whatever, then they can fill out a scholarship form and we can make that happen for them. We've helped kids on some band trips, and we helped a person that wanted to do welding in ag, but he had to have boots and he didn't have boots, so we made sure that he got the boots he needed. So
Wow.
I just really feel like our church and our outreach committee looks for ways to serve the community.
It sounds like you listen well to your community as
I
you
hope so.
find
I hope
or
we-
you hear about the things.
Yeah, I hope we listen and then can make things happen.
In the Luther conversation, they joked about how everybody understood listen for the town gossip about where they then needed to go and were able to help out. So it sounds like you all listen well.
We tried. And we, I wanted to make sure we talked about the buckets. They also listen to state and national things. So when we already know that after all the fires that we had this last week, our congregation already knows that we're going to do something to help. The First Christian Church in Sulphur that lost things. We're now getting to the point where they're going to be able to ask us for help. So we know we're going to plan a day trip to go and do things. The buckets kind of blew me away when I first came here. I was like, well, let's shoot for 10. And I think we did 40 the first time. It was a massive hurricane that we had when I first moved here. And then this last time we were like, well, let's shoot for 30, and we had 52, right? And so I want you to imagine a room about the size that we're in, which is about 20 foot by, we'll say 20 foot, which is another room. And you have all these things on a table, and this gang is going around the table, filling up these buckets, realizing that they're never going to meet the person that's going to get it, and you know that's this church. They know that they're not going to see that person on the other end, but they make it happen because they heard, well, we can help. We might not be able to go there, but we can help. And so for them, that was a no-brainer. For me, I'm like, the logistics of creating 52 buckets that we're going to send to Church World Service was, you know, in my head was daunting. For them, it was, this is just what we do.
Yeah,
So,
cleanup buckets, right?
yeah, cleanup buckets.
Yeah.
When they showed up with pallets of stuff, I got a little worried.
Yeah, we got a little worried when they showed up with the pallets. It was a little intimidating. But we had that thing done in about an hour. Well, we were missing a few supplies, and then we just had to wait for the rest of the supplies, and then dropped them off, and it was great. Like, so it was awesome.
Donna, it seems like you're glad you said yes to being the chair of the outreach committee,
Sure, yeah. It's part of me now.
right? All right.
So-
Is there anything as we kind of close our segment that is out there on the horizon that you're thinking about for your group?
Not that I think I'm ready to share yet.
Okay. All right. Stay tuned.
That means we haven't talked to Josh yet. And there's probably some cool ideas coming.
Okay. All right.
He's always
all
good
right.
about saying yes.
I don't really ever say no to them.
He pretty much leaves us alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. Well, thank you for coming this afternoon to
thank
tell us
you.
about that. And we look forward to all of the pictures and stories. We'll come back and hear about the great outreach that you all are doing here. So thank you. Joshua, you all just returned from an intergenerational mission trip to Christmount, which is the denomination's national camping conference center, just outside of Asheville in Black Mountain, North Carolina. So you had a couple-day trip there and back, and did some work post-hurricane, and did some work at Bethany Hills, the regional disciple campground in Tennessee. So tell us a little bit about that, and who is here with you.
So, Christmount is a very special place to my family. And when Hurricane Helene hit that area of the world, I became instantly drawn to go and provide assistance. In my background, I provided search and rescue during Katrina and the tornado that we had in Oklahoma City. And in my past life, I had paramedic training and things of that nature. So as soon as the hurricane hit, I wanted to get out there. And so the only way I could participate at the time was to volunteer with the American Red Cross. And they immediately put me to work in Tampa, Florida, not in Asheville or Black Mountain, because they were so inundated with help. Asheville probably sustained the most amount of damage from the hurricane, along with the smaller communities like Swannanoa and Black Mountain. A lot of mudslides and like whole portions of I-40 that washed away. So when I came back from working with the hurricane in Tampa, the congregation and I had a conversation and said, I really want to get back out there because I know Christmount is in desperate need of assistance. And everything that we do is based off of volunteers. And so I purposely designed the trip to not be age appropriate. I think a lot of times we create mission trips, we automatically think youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was not going to be appropriate for this congregation. A lot of our teenagers, as we've mentioned before, are in sports, and half of my youth group was playing baseball, and I have families that have babies, and I have adults that are the same age as my parents, if not some of them that are a little older, and they wanted to help. And so I wanted to create a trip that provided opportunities for every age group and for us to provide assistance at Christmount. Now, of course, when we do these things, you want to work with the organization and not tell the organization what you're going to do. You
Right.
ask them what you need, not what, and listen to them, not tell them what they need. So we worked with Rob Morris, the executive director of Christmount, And I asked specific needs, like what is it that you need? And so we worked with Ditch Witch here in town, and the CEO got us a skid steer for free and all the equipment we needed to get it there. And all we had to do was clear off some roads, build some roads, and
Small things.
Small things. We did about 2 weeks worth of work in about 3 to 5 days. It was insane. My crew worked really, really hard. And so what we have here today, I thought it would be really neat. I have Kim Sheets still here, who went with us on the mission trip, and my son Quentin, who also went on the mission trip. And I thought it would be kind of neat to let them, the audience hear what they thought about the experience. So,
Kim, it's your first time at Christ Mount?
First time.
Okay.
First time on a mission trip, too.
Okay, all right. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying I was and am the oldest member of the group that went.
Congratulations.
With the youngest one being
your grandson.
6 months.
Oh no! Yeah, that's right. Christopher was 6 months old. Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, there was a wide range of ages there. And I will have to say, I think that we showed up the kids. Not really.
Quentin isn't making any faces at the moment.
It was interesting. It was exciting. It was a lot of work. But that was to be expected with what had happened. And there's just so many things I really haven't sat down long enough to really process what we did and the impact it's going to have. But I did make the statement that I thought in 5 years it would be fun to get this same group and go back out there and see actually in that 5 years' time what our little bit of time there and our little bit of energy had an impact on the whole thing. So we did tree removal, we did building, we painted at Bethany Hills. It's a beautiful, beautiful camp. And there's just one person that is there to take care of it all, and she cannot do it all. She needs the help. And at Christ Mount, working with Rob, every day he had someplace or a thing for us to do, a project for us to take care of and to do. And it was fun working with the kids. You get to know the kids and their work ethic and how they want to help.
Was there something that stands out in your mind that was an image of something you saw or something that you did that has really stuck with you?
Well, we've got to meet the lady. There was a group of ladies, crafters, that were there from, I think they were kind of from all over the United States when Helene hit. And they were stranded there. And to listen to their story and what they experienced, that was an impression on me, because it's like, I'm sure at one time they were just really scared to death. Are we going to make it out of here or not? And to hear their faith and being able to go through all of the stuff that they went through at that moment. The other thing was I have traveled I-40 numerous times, and seeing what water can do, how destructive water can be, but it's so life-giving to each of us. Mm-hmm. We have to have water. So it was a trip that I will forever remember and be thankful that I could go on it.
Great, very great. Quentin, is this the first mission trip you've been on?
Yes, it is. First mission trip.
Okay. Tell the folks about it. What did you experience? What did you see?
It was really cool getting to go back to Christ Mount for like third time.
Yeah. Probably your third time.
Third time. First day getting to use a chainsaw
Uh-oh.
with like no supervision whatsoever.
Uh-oh.
There was some.
There was an adult literally standing right next to you the
Yes.
whole time.
But he was also using a chainsaw. So
Okay,
That counts as supervision.
that's supervision.
For all of those who have liability in their brain right
And
now,
as
that
we're
does
listening to
count.
this.
That's right. That does count for supervision. So,
Especially his mother that is listening to this.
what else stood out for you?
getting to ride a piece of equipment that means a lot back home, because Perry is the home plant for Ditch Witch, pretty much, and getting to ride something that was most likely built here. That was kind of cool.
Was there? Tell me what you learned about the adults that went on the trip with you.
A lot of them I already knew were really hardworking. I got to learn more about one of the families, a guy stepping out of his comfort zone to do some contracting work. I got to know that he's very intuitive and very, very quick thinking on his feet about certain solutions that will be needed. I got to just see how the adults, even if it was like really hot that day or really cold, they just pressed on.
Was that surprising to you?
Not really.
You've been to Christ Mount several times, so what is your so you've seen it beautiful, and then you saw it in the shape in which you found it post hurricane. What's your favorite? This is for Rob if he hears this, and anybody else who may go. What's your favorite spot at Christ Mount? To give the folks who are listening kind of an image. Kim, is there a place that you wandered back to before you left?
Kind of the trails that are back behind and all over that you could. The kids found the shortcut, from here to there, and then finally the adults found the shortcut. But they were nice. They were quiet. There was debris there that had to have come from the mudslide. And to me, that was always, it was not the hill going up to the mess hall. That is quite a trek.
It is.
It's quite a trek. But the trails I thought were, because you could be by yourself and feel God and just everything.
While we give Quentin another moment to think about his answer, what did you learn about the young people who went on the trip with you that you maybe didn't know?
Really how resilient they are, how they're willing to put their phones down. I mean, we always, a lot of times we always think that's, their hands might as well be their telephones or whatever the case is. And it was good to see them get together, go outside, and for lack of better terms, play. At night they would go on the trails and do things, and they didn't have their phones with them. Josh would give them, you'd be back here at this time, and I don't know, innate time clock told them when to be back.
Right.
But that was one of the things I was very impressed with the kids, that they and interact with adults.
All right, Quentin, what's your favorite spot, or where did you go back to before you got on the bus to come home?
There were two. There was one place I wanted to go back to, and I liked it. Mostly the trails, the Mary Lake Trail, because there was a moment where we just went on all the trails. It was really, really cool trails. The Mary Lane Trail's really clean now. They have like musical equipment on the side of it too, and a tree that was originally on the trail and provided part of the path had been ripped out of the ground, and it was just showing its roots. And there's this little valley you had to walk through right beside it. That was obviously not intentional, but it looked cool.
Okay.
So, and the creepy, some kind of, just the name is creepy, the Cemetery Hill Trail. That was also cool. I don't know if that one's actually like been cleaned up, or if it's just naturally cleaned itself up, because it didn't seem cleaned up. but the trail was nice. Going down the trail, I should say, was nice. Going up is...
My final question is, were you able to spend any time on the rocking chair porch?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did this thing every single day where we did where did you see God today? At the end of the day, one of those was the rocking chair porch. You know, the very first night that we were there, I took them to the rocking chair porch, and then but they had all the rocking chairs inside because there was a huge storm that had come the night before. I would be remiss. Jonice sent me a whole bunch of stuff here, like she said. If I didn't mention this, she said, "Where did I see God today?" was one of her favorite parts. Seeing Quentin run up and say, "Oh, Grandma," when we saw my mother-in-law at Kavanaugh's Pizza in Fort Smith. She talks about how kids were working hard, they cooperated, they didn't complain, they were eager to help. There were a lot of moments where we were scared that somebody was going to get hurt, but nobody did. There was a kind of an ongoing joke of, "Where's Jonice?" Because I would look around and I couldn't find her. She had gone other different places. And there was kind of an all-in-around excitement when we got home, but they really felt, though, that they did help a lot of folks, even if it was just for a few days. So, yeah, I think that was a very worthwhile thing, and I'm ready to go back tomorrow, but they're not. Yeah, we felt like we left feeling like we could have done more, but there was so much we would have never been able to get it done. So.
Thank you, Joshua, for leading the congregation with your example of faith. We're grateful for all the church leaders sharing their stories today. Disciples in Perry, you are a blessing. I'm Michael Davison, your Associate Regional Minister. It's been a great afternoon in Perry. Thank you for listening to Regional Stories.